I think we're just getting started.
Hey guys, this is Crimson with another mod review. This episode is going to cover the new Alexandria Forge, as well as the Forge and AI menu. First off, know that modifying AI right now is a little bit difficult. We have a great tool, which is assembly, but it's not the end all, and truth be told, we probably need something like a dev kit in order to do really in-depth, intensive modifications to things like AI, where behavior and responses are very important to have nailed down. That being said, this new mod by Surfacy released on Nexus Mods is a good step in the right direction. It's not 100% ironed out in my eyes, but for the tools that we have and how he's done this, it's not bad. So basically, the mod author used some assets from another mod, and he kind of collaborated with a couple other people to come up with this. But he has a system that allows you to spawn AIs into the game. There are a lot of different types of AIs. There's Marines, ODSTs, Grunts, Elites, Brutes, Hunters, different animal type creatures. And I gotta say, I'm thoroughly enjoying this. I liked the ability to choose what AI I wanted to spawn in. If I wanted something like a guard, I could choose an idle AI that would stay in its place. But if I kind of snuck up on that AI and I, basically threatened it with the barrel of a DMR, it reacted appropriately. For instance, I freaked out this Marine, he stepped back, and it was very entertaining to see this change in behavior. And then he actually engaged me, which I wasn't expecting for something that's supposed to be idle. But I liked that. This is good for the objective-based games of Halo. Imagine that you're in a Castle Wars or you're protecting something and you have these AI Marines beside you doing that. I think in the future, if this mod really progresses, it will be a great addition to have for things like that. However, the actual AI that move around and shoot you, like what you would experience in a campaign mission, weren't the best. In fact, it was a little bit too easy to kill a bunch of them. For example, I'll show a clip here of me in a vehicle just wrecking rampage on them. I felt that one, they were underpowered. I felt that the weapon damage that they were doing was very limited. It was like they had a damage multiplier assigned and they should have just been doing more damage naturally. That's what it felt like. And I didn't have the intense fear of facing an elite or a group of elites like I do in a campaign, or even a hunter for that matter, or multiple hunters, as I would in a campaign mission. Now, maybe that's because I'm missing some of the cinematic effects of a curated mission, but I generally felt that there was something missing. Not only that, but if I walked away for a good distance or I was able to get away, I noticed that they just stopped following me. They just stopped reacting. They would stand in their place or they would group up together, and there wasn't much for them. They weren't particularly interesting anymore. And I even got to a point where I was just shooting them from afar, and they just let me shoot them. They stood still and they didn't react. They didn't counterattack or anything like that. I just killed them, all of them. So I would like that to be improved, and knowing how things are now, I think it will be. Not only that, but when I spawned in what would typically be a friendly AI, like in campaign or firefight, they were aggressive towards me. I would like to have the option to choose whether I want this AI to be friendly or whether I want them to be an enemy. And additionally, if you could set, I want this to be friendly towards blue team and aggressive towards red team, then this mod could potentially be golden. The author has recommended to place a limited amount of AI at a given time, and I went over that a little bit without many problems. There was this one instance where I encountered a problem and I had to restart the round, but it wasn't a critical issue and it was easily fixable. And I think that was a rare instance. I think you'll be able to get away with passing those limits or going right at those limits, and you'll be fine, which is good because when compared to games like Arma 3, when you spawn in NPCs on a multiplayer map, you can suffer dramatic performance issues. And that's good that a game that from 2012, 2011 can stand up to that. Now, I didn't test this in multiplayer, I just tested this in single player. So you'll have to keep that in mind for both of these mods. But overall, I'm pretty happy with this mod. While I enjoyed this mod, and it does have its problems, it was fun to just relax in Forge and spawn a plethora of enemies and then slaughter them all over and over again. In fact, I lost track of time actually, as I would spawn in different vehicles and see how fast could I kill this big group of AI, and not have to worry about other people in my game too. I will conclude this mod's review by saying this. If you're a map maker, a game type curator, then you might want to consider this mod. It could be used potentially in a variety of game types that would be very suitable to keep engaging your player, particularly if it's a 16 player versus AI mode. I think a large battle like that against a non-ending wave of AI could be very entertaining, and I can't wait to see what you guys create. But in order to do that, you'll have to create a scenario that works around the problems with the AI. You simply cannot have AI and expect them to go to a certain point yet. We just don't have that. So you'll probably only be using this in confined spaces or in insulated building where they can't get out. Otherwise, who knows what will happen. Now, let's go on to the next mod. New Alexandria Forge by Artemiro, and I hope I'm saying that right, is pretty much a straight up port of the campaign map New Alexandria. It has everything you would expect in a Forge map, and even a couple of bonus items, as I like to say, that were a pleasant surprise. For example, I got to fly around the Pelican that had the actual Pelican sound, and the Phantom and Banshee and two different Falcons were in that too. I like that, and I think that adds variety to Forge World. Something like Forge World is played so many times that the player gets tired if they don't mix it up. And while we have 500 different game types that are very popular in the community, new maps as a whole is a great window of opportunity for us map makers and mod creators to invest our time in. This mod does have its own problems, but the author warns you about that in his description. If you try to play as an elite, you won't load in, you'll black screen. This is originally a campaign map, so it wasn't made for you, the player, to play as an elite. Also, there's not much language support, so if you don't know how to read English and your game language is set to something else, then you won't be able to use some of the Forge menu. There's not much support for that at this time. Now, I didn't test the multiplayer option, but he also warns that you shouldn't be too far away from your friends, which is very common for games that use a tethering system, and so that the actual game does not have to use as much resources when rendering in everything, basically. Now that I have all of the warnings and the labels out of the way, let's actually take a look at this. So something that I really like is that not only are the buildings enterable, but if they have items like elevators, they work, which is really, really cool because this means that there's a possibility for us to do some really cool scripting for multiplayer games. And if you're familiar with Forge, you know that there's been ways that we have been able to create maps and modes that have used a lot of tinkering in order to get the right effect. And if we are able to do scripting, if we're able to do things like elevators and create functions like that, then maybe we can turn on and off the lights. Maybe we can use night vision. Maybe we can turn on the club music at Club Era. So I think that this mod is definitely something that you guys should be watching. If some of these issues that are present when converting campaign maps to multiplayer maps can be resolved, then we stand a good chance to get a lot of options or alternatives to Forge World, which will be really good even though Forge world is pretty fun, you have to admit that the same scenery is, well, quite tiring. The interiors of this map are beautiful, and I'm giving credit to Bungie for that because that's what they are responsible for. But if this mod creator and other mod creators can take advantage of some of the empty space that is available to us and really juice it up and really immerse the player here, then we can really do some cool stuff. And I think that that is where the beauty in this map and this mod lie, is not actually the exterior space, but the interior. Just think of how many uses that can have. Think about how the hospital can be used for multiplayer gameplay, and how the club can be used for fun, custom, jokingly filled games of mayhem. I hope you can see the vision that I'm trying to give you. I truly think that we can use this mod as a foundation for a multitude of custom maps. One thing that I like to see in a future update is more items on the Forge menu. The Forge menu that you have to start with is pretty standard. It has all of the building blocks, all the decoration items that are under the structure tag. But as vehicles go, it's limited. You can't spawn in a Scorpion, which is understandable because this is a map where you have to use flyable vehicles in order to get somewhere. But if we're custom map makers, then we need to have the option to spawn in a Warthog or to spawn in a Scorpion because our needs are very specific. I hope this author includes these type things in his future updates, as well as additional scenery objects to spice up those interiors. Overall, I'm satisfied with this mod, and I really can't wait to see where it goes. And while you may have to limit your actual gameplay to certain areas of the map if you're playing in multiplayer, it's definitely worth checking out and seeing what you can get away with. I would definitely download this and at least give it a shot. So that brings an end to this review. Both mods need just a couple more features added in order to really draw in the vast majority of players that are going to give mods a shot in the first couple of months. I hope it's been helpful for you in deciding whether or not you want to download these mods. I will post their link in the description below, and if you have any comments or questions about modding or assembly, please let me know and I will try to get back to you. Thanks again for watching.